My 23F boyfriend of 4 months told his kids to call me mom. I think I have a different dating history than most people my age. I was married for 2 years from age 19 to 21 to my high school sweetheart. We had an amicable and quick divorce, which was finalized a month after my 22nd birthday. The marriage allowed both of us to learn a lot about ourselves. He wanted to take on a potentially very rewarding, but also unstable career in filmmaking. The life of short-term gigs involved lots of traveling, long days, stress, and giving your life up to your boss 24/7 was not a situation either of us wanted to bring children into, and I strongly wanted to have a stable family and just be a homebody. After my divorce, I got a job as an administrative assistant at a commercial real estate firm while I was studying to get my real estate license. I met my boyfriend when I was at an industry event with my boss and coworkers. I immediately felt bad for him because he said he was a single father to 2 daughters and that their mother had died of cancer 2 months ago. A week after we met, he asked me out for coffee and I declined, thinking it was too soon after his wife died. But we continued talking over text and the phone, and 2 weeks later I agreed to go out to dinner with him. He told me that he and his wife were in the process of a divorce, but that he had moved back into the marital home for the final month of her life to take care of her and the kids. He said that it might seem like he was rushing into stuff, but the marriage was over for a while, but the divorce couldn't exactly go quickly when one party was ill and he had kids to think about. I met his kids for the first time 2 months ago because his older daughter was turning 8, his younger daughter is 3. He introduced me at the birthday party as his friend. His late wife's sister, who handmade the decorations and baked the cake for the birthday, kind of gave me a CIA background interview line of questioning until my boyfriend dragged me away, but I understood her position. My boyfriend has a development and property management firm centered around shopping plazas, and I have been shadowing him a lot. Our romantic relationship is also great. He is very affectionate, always big on displays of affection, and very spontaneous, while also being a stable family man. When I told him I wanted to have kids young and hopefully have one of each, a boy and a girl, he said he supports my goals and would love to have kids with someone who would be such a great mother. But the only thing that made me sort of uncomfortable was when he'd have the kids' nanny spontaneously bring them to surprise me. Not him, but just me specifically. Once we were going into a mall his company managed after hours, and when I met him at the door he said surprise, and I saw his 2 kids were there. He then said I could just shadow one of his staff who was doing a walkthrough of a vacated store and take the girls with me for some quality time. And then he just left us, and his 3-year-old, who had easily taken a liking to me, got cranky because she was obviously tired, and his older daughter looked like she didn't know what to do. After that event, his former sister-in-law texted me and told me about the kids' daily routines and their likes and dislikes. She also asked me on multiple occasions to remind my boyfriend to respond regarding letting the kids go out with her for an afternoon. But she also admitted that she wished that I would not have been introduced to the kids yet. Since our relationship has progressed, I have spent time at my boyfriend's house, sometimes sleeping over. He has insisted on meeting my parents and asked me if I moved in before or after my ex-husband and I got married. He has also talked a lot about his far-out future plans and asked if he fit into my future plans. I have gotten close to both kids, especially the younger daughter, but I was in for a surprise when yesterday his younger daughter called me mom. His older daughter said that her dad said they should call me mom. When I asked my boyfriend about the mom thing, he said that he'd be very happy if they considered me their mom and that his younger daughter will not remember his ex-wife that much, if at all. I told Hai that this was a lot to take in, and he told me that this didn't mean that I had to think of them as my kids yet, and that he still wants my 1 boy and 1 girl family to happen, and that it would with him. I wanted it. What do I do? His former sister-in-law will likely hear about this eventually. My boyfriend is busy and often cannot speak with her, so most of the communications about the kids have somehow fallen on me. I really want kids, and I really have fallen in love with this man, but this is a lot. I can interact well with his kids, but I tried to tell him that I didn't have the skills to jump head first into mothering, and he just dismissed it and said that when I have a baby of my own it will come so natural and quickly and I won't have any problems with children, but until then, it is just trial and error. He's only had to be a single father for a short time. He's looking for a live-in babysitter, not a future companion. He's putting too much on you and the kids way too soon. And to say the youngest won't even remember her mother is a horrible thing to say. This whole situation is happening way too fast. You need to talk to the SIL and get the truth of their marriage and about what's happening now. How old is this man with an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old who is pushing you to be their new mommy? He's 44. Dating a 23-year-old. And after 2 months is damaging his kids by wanting to call you mom? You need therapy. And he needs therapy. And his kids need a sane adult around. You guys are fucking up these kids with this nonsense. No kid should be calling anyone mom after 2 months. You shouldn't even know his kids. I hope the kid's mom gets them away from him. This is disturbing as fuck and I would be livid as their mother. And the fact that you aren't running after all these red flags is alarming. He's 44 years old, a widower, a father to an almost teenager to your 23 years. He targeted you from the time you met. He plays on your dreams of having kids and your insecurity about dating men your age. He forwarded your contact details to his SIL without your permission and now you are the liaison PA for the kids' activities. Step away from this man immediately. You have already gone through a divorce from an ill-advised marriage. It's time to live your life to the fullest like a 23-year-old woman. No husband, no kids. Catch up on what you missed while you were married. Please leave him. Don't even date him. He's taking advantage of you. Sounds like he's looking for a mom for his kids so he has more time for himself. I think you are seeing he can provide for you with his business, but in exchange you will be expected to be the mother of his children. He sounds manipulative AF. He's trying to rush you into being the kid's caregiver and it's inappropriate and weird. 4 months? He should not have even introduced you to his children yet, let alone forced you prematurely into the mother role. I'd take a big step back from this relationship and stop letting him dictate the terms. If he can't handle the boundaries that you will hopefully impose, then he's not a good potential partner. This is way too much too fast. He was divorcing his wife with cancer. He is one of those guys that bails when his wife gets sick. Learn that first and foremost. He has shoved his kids at you and made every expectation that you will be their new mother. He has taken these kids into irresponsible situations to do so. This man never learned to parent and was bailing on his sick wife and now he is shopping for a new mommy for his kids and home slave so he doesn't have to do child or home care. It's not about you, who you are, if he even knows you much less loves you. It's about how you can serve to make his life easier. Wife versus jail. I bonded my husband out of jail on Thursday. Charges related to a car accident. I woke him up this morning because of an anxiety attack I had that was triggered by a lot of clutter in our house. He became angry. He now says that I am so horrible to live with that he would rather be back in jail. Tell him that can be arranged. You can go back to the jail and request to come off his bond. Or if you used a bonding company, go to them and tell them the same thing. Fulfill his wish and call the bail bondsman. Tell him that you think your husband is a flight risk. Why would you pay the bond of someone who treats you like this? Prawley shouldn't have paid his bond. I feel like it's unlikely that this is all surprise behavior from out of nowhere. Send him back. Send him back. The man was in jail. That was the perfect opportunity to leave him. Instead of sorting out bond, you should have used the money for a divorce attorney. Why are you even with someone like this? I had an ex get mad at me for getting mad at him for getting a DUI. I had asked him multiple times if he was still okay to drive. He kept saying he was fine to drive and it had been a while since his last drink. He wanted to drive some friends home in a different town, but I kept telling him he could let them stay at my place and we could Uber back. He got pulled over heading back from their place and was mad at me for being furious he didn't listen and put everyone at risk. Somehow I got gaslighted into apologizing to him for being a bitch. Don't let that be you. He fucked up and needs to hear it. You're not the bitch for being upset. He did something so dangerous it caused a car accident that led to him being arrested. My boyfriend took me to a strip club and I don't know what to do about it. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. My boyfriend, 24M, and I, 23F, have been together about 3 years. We met in college at 18 and 19, eventually moved away from each other, then met again on a dating app. We live in different cities about an hour apart. He's a lot more adventurous than I am. That's why we didn't get serious when we first met. He was too crazy and I was way too laid back. He mellowed out a lot in 2 years and I'm more willing to do adventurous things as I get older, so we've had a great relationship. I have every intention of marrying this man. One of the things he always wanted to do was take me to a strip club. I don't know why, he's just always wanted to. So I finally agreed to do it and he was so pumped to finally take me. He was in my city when I agreed to do it, so we just went to a strip club in my city. As we're walking in, a woman outside, obviously a dancer on break, waves to my boyfriend and he waves back. I didn't think anything of it. When we get inside there's actually not much going on and the dancers are just kinda making small talk with everyone. It was only like 5:30 so we were super early lol. So the girl from outside comes up to my boyfriend and is like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in forever, how are you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I've been so busy." So my first thought is that they went to school together or something. He seems to know everybody wherever we go. Cons of dating an extreme extrovert. But nope. They keep talking and he's asking questions about the club. Like, when did they put that jukebox in? I love the new pool table. All kinds of stuff like that. Let's keep in mind this strip club opened like maybe 2 years ago in my city. We've been together for 3 years. So in the last 2 years he's gone to a strip club while in town to see me. Enough times for at least one dancer to recognize him immediately, and he never once told me about it. I can deal with that. Not my favorite thing ever, but I know he goes to strip clubs sometimes with his friends, so whatever. But then this dancer tells us that we should come back in a few days to buy a private room with her for half an hour. He says, "The last time I bought a private room I only got like 8 minutes. And she's like, "Well, you've never had a private room with me." So clearly he's paid extra to be alone with dancers while he's in town to see me. Probably on multiple occasions. This happened last night and I'm still processing it. He's only in town until tonight and I don't want to ruin the time we have together by bringing this up and arguing with him. He's gonna be gone for work for 10+ days after this and I would hate for him to leave when we're fighting. But I don't know, this is just really bothering me. I literally wouldn't have cared at all if he had just told me. I know he goes to strip clubs. It doesn't bother me. I don't even think I'd have cared if he told me he was getting a private room with a dancer, but he didn't tell me, so I feel like he's hiding more things from me. He's asleep right now and he just looks so peaceful and sweet. I really do love him so much. But God, I just want to punch him in the face right now. Anyways, I'm rambling. How do I bring this up? What am I supposed to do? Is it breakup worthy? Too long, did not read. My boyfriend took me to a strip club where he has apparently bought private rooms with dancers while he was in town to see me, and never told me about it. I agree that the private room would not be okay with me. He clearly doesn't see it as cheating though, and he wasn't trying to hide it. I would just have an honest conversation about what you are and are not okay with. If you plan to marry this man, you have to be able to have an open conversation. I would also say that continuously trying to make you go to a strip club isn't okay either. He needs to respect your boundaries. I wouldn't say this is a deal breaker, but his response to the conversation might be. And since he's only here today, have the conversation today. It might not be a fight. But if it is, you can't avoid confrontation because you don't like the timing. I'd break up with him if I were you. That seriously sounds like cheating. Let's say you are at a party with your boyfriend, and a girl you don't know grabs his hand and walks into a bedroom with him and closes the door. 10 minutes later, he comes out hot and sweaty and clearly relaxed. Would you be okay with that? Why is it okay if he does it at a strip club then? There is going to strip clubs and there's going so much that the dancers know you in a first-name basis. You have to decide if you want someone who frequents these types of establishments that frequently. You can't force him to live by your moral code, so you have a decision to make. 'Cause this will not get better. This would be a major deal breaker for me. He's blowing money on strippers, probably a lot. I'd consider getting a STD test and end the relationship. Does the 8 minutes refer to how fast he blew his load? Serious question. I literally wouldn't have cared at all if he had just told me. I know he goes to strip clubs. It doesn't bother me. I don't even think I'd have cared if he told me he was getting a private room with a dancer, but he didn't tell me, so I feel like he's hiding more things from me. If the strip clubs and getting private dancers don't bother you, then why does he have to tell you every time he goes? Deep down you're not okay with it. Would he have to tell you when he goes for a drink with his friends? You're either okay with it or you're not. He doesn't have to tell you everything he does. You want to marry him. You love him, so you want to be accenting of what he does. But you'll twist yourself like a pretzel to please him and he'll push it further and further. You do realize it's okay to not be okay with all this, right? You seem like you're more worried about seeming like an uptight girlfriend than actually enforcing your reasonable boundaries, and your boyfriend is stomping all over you because of it. How can I stop debating with my sister's #edgy boyfriend? Due to a sudden shift in my living circumstances, I am living with my parents, and due to a sudden shift in my sister and her boyfriend's circumstances, so are they, so we've got, all under one roof. Me, my kids, my parents, my sister, her boyfriend, and my teenage brother. Luckily, we have enough room that we're not all constantly in each other's way. But things are quite tight and I am really looking forward to moving out in late March, early April. I just have to push through until then. The boyfriend is one of those annoying people who just loves to be a contrarian in a way that's often insulting, but if you get offended he claims he's just being honest. I'm convinced that half of the shit he says is just to be edgy and he doesn't actually believe it. One of our biggest debates is that I am religious, which he brings up regularly. We also have arguments about my kids and political views. I don't mind a debate, provided it's done in good faith, and I'm willingly entering into it, and neither of these are the case with him. He'll just randomly insult my beliefs and try to drag me into debates every time we see each other. If I ignore him, he pesters me and doubles down, trying to get a reaction and goad me into responding so he can have his turn again. This happens a few times per day as I'm WFH and he's not working. I think it's because he's not working that he just wants something to do. But I have 3 kids to take care of, a job to do, and no time or energy to deal with him. I have brought this up with my parents and sister before now, who say he's just trying to understand Mapav better, which he definitely is not doing. My teenage brother agrees he's being an edgy prick. I'm only here until early April at absolute latest, so I don't want to burn bridges right now, though I'm open to burning them after that, but I cannot take another 1.5 months of this shit until April. How can I make clear that I do not have any interest in debating with him? Use the gray rock method. It's effective AF. You basically give no info but technically you are responding. Say, sure, nope, aha, as responses. Be completely disengaged and sometimes having a distraction works. So if he's talking to you in the kitchen, you just make food and nod along. Eventually when he realizes you're not giving anything he will leave. Sometimes using your phone and literally not look up. Also tell your parents so they can see him try to fight with you being completely unresponsive. Number 1 Stop talking to him. Literally ignore him. Number 2 Talk to your parents solo and tell them you don't feel comfortable or safe with him living there and constantly harassing you about your religion and children. Tell them you're going to stop engaging with him entirely and to watch for themselves as he continues to pick fights. Number 3 Tell your sister that her boyfriend's constant harassment is putting your relationship with her in danger. He needs to leave you the fuck alone. Learn a list of totally off-the-wall facts and only respond to him with those facts. The more off-topic the better. So when my kids were little and would whine about being bored, I'd hand them chores and tell them as long as they were bored, they might as well be productive and bored. If he's pestering you like a bored little kid, which is emotionally what he is, then start telling him to do shit. Hey, Ryan, sounds like you have some energy you want to burn off, but I'm pretty busy. Instead of telling me why you think religion is stupid, how about you take the recycling out? Thanks. Ignore him. Be the bigger person. Sadly just leave the room. What he is doing is abuse in your own home. He thinks he is winning but he's going to look like a twat when you ignore him and he's still pushing for a reaction. The fact you are religious and he talks about your kids. He has no right to. After he says or asks anything about your beliefs, do the following. 1. Smile. 2. Do something small that makes you seem occupied, fluff up cushions, hang up a jacket. 3. Stay silent for a minute. 4. Tell him, let me think about that. 5. Kinda chuckle quietly as you walk away. Turn back to glance at him with a smile, and continue walking away. 6. He'll probably have a, ha, I was right, attitude. If he actually says something like that, just say, 7. Of course you are, while grinning. He'll be left wondering what that all meant. Learn a few scripts, change the subject, then leave the room. Be very clear in what you're doing. God is dumb, okay. I'm planning on starting a garden. What's your favorite vegetable? I said God is dumb. Aren't you religious? I heard you, I'm not interested in discussing religion with you. My favorite vegetable is tomatoes, there's a perfect spot in the backyard for them. Why do you keep talking about tomatoes? I want to talk religion. I'm not interested in talking religion, I'm going to go outside now. Captain Awkward has a lot of good advice on how to put up boundaries and enforce them. Say this. Don't you think using your time to find a job would be more constructive than trying to start arguments with me? Because your opinion honestly means nothing to me.